It was the season of Odun Atari Ajanaku, a sacred festival held once every 5 years. Drums echoed from the village square like heartbeats of the ancestors. Women painted their faces with white chalk, children ran with carved wooden masks, and elders poured libations to the gods of the land. As was the custom, animals were brought forward hens, rams, and goats to be offered to the spirits as messengers and sacrifices of gratitude. But among the animals that year, there was one that no one could quite understand. It was a goat, brown with streaks of white along its neck, but its eyes were unlike any goat's. They didn't dart around nervously like the others. They stayed fixed, still, watching, almost as if they were seeing something far beyond the village, as if they were remembering. The goat's name was Ajala, and from the moment Ajala arrived, nothing felt normal again. While the other goats bleated and tugged at their ropes, Ajala sat still, refusing to eat. It did not cry out, it did not kick or bite. Instead, it stared at people, not with fear, but with something closer to sorrow. The children were the first to whisper about it. "Hey Joe, this goat dey look like Baba Toby when he dey serious," one small boy said, laughing nervously. But one child took it more seriously than the rest. His name was Kola, the only son of Baba Alaro, the village herbalist and diviner. Kola was 11, curious, brave, and known for asking too many questions. He knelt beside Ajala one afternoon, looking into the goat's deep eyes, and he swore, in that very moment, the goat blinked at him slowly, as if it recognized him. "Baba," Kola said later that evening as he stirred herbs in a clay bowl beside his father, "this goat is not ordinary." Baba Alaro, a man with a beard as white as cowrie shells and fingers stained by years of roots and potions, didn't laugh. He looked at his son carefully and said only, "Then we must ask the spirits." And that was when everything truly began. That night, as the moon carved a silver path across the village rooftops, Baba Alaro prepared for divination. He had not done this lightly, not for a goat, not in years. But something in Kola's eyes and something even deeper in the silence of Ajala stirred his spirit. Inside his hut, the air was thick with incense and the scent of dried herbs. Calabashes hung from the walls, and a carved staff leaned against the door, a gift from an old oracle long gone. In the center of the room sat the sacred tray, the Opon Ifa, marked with ancient symbols of power and fate. Kola sat silently in the corner as his father chanted, calling on Esu, the divine messenger, and Runmila, the keeper of wisdom. The Opele, the sacred chain of divination, was cast. The cowries landed with a soft click. Baba's eyes narrowed. His lips moved silently, interpreting the signs. The hut grew colder. Then he spoke. "This goat is not what it seems. Its spirit carries a burden, a memory from before this life." Kola leaned forward. "Baba, what do you mean?" "There is a name," Baba whispered. It came through clearly. Odewole. Silence filled the room. Even the fire in the corner crackled softer, as if listening. Baba Alaro stared into the flames, his voice slow and grave. Odwole was once a hunter in this very land, many seasons ago. A man known for his skill, yes, but also for his pride. He entered sacred forests where no man was allowed. He killed not for food but for pleasure. He mocked the gods. He stole a tortoise said to carry dreams between worlds. He cut down a white antelope sacred to Oshos, the god of the forest path. "And what happened to him?" Kola asked, barely breathing. "He vanished," Baba said. The elders at that time believed he ran away, but some whispered another truth, that the gods had cursed him, that his spirit would wander, punished to live again and again, not as a man, but as the very animals he had wronged, until he remembered, until he was seen. Kola's eyes darted to the corner where Ajala was now tied with a red cloth beside the shrine. The goat looked back at him, not wildly, not blankly, but with a gaze that struck the boy's heart. "Baba, what if this is the life where he remembers?" Kola said. Baba Alaro didn't respond. He merely picked up the Orisa staff, placed it beside the open Ifa, and muttered a prayer. Outside, the wind howled louder than before. The next day, news had spread. People came to see the strange goat, the one that didn't eat, didn't cry, didn't fight. Whispers filled the marketplace. Ajala is possessed, some said. Number 8 carries a message, said others. But when Bale Akinrin, the proud village chief, heard of it, he only scoffed. Sorcery! Nonsense! He spat. A goat is a goat, and the gods await their offering. He declared that Ajala would be the first sacrifice of the festival. Baba Alaro tried to speak, but tradition was heavy in Agbónlé. The word of the Bale was rarely challenged. Still that night, Baba Alaro tied protective charms around his son's wrist, and quietly he whispered, "Watch the goat. The gods are not done." Long before Kola was born, before even the oldest of Agbónlé's elders could walk without a staff, there lived a hunter named Odevole. He was tall, broad-shouldered, and known throughout the 7 villages for his unmatched skill in the forest. His arrows flew truer than any others. He walked through the Igbo Okere, a sacred forest no one dared enter, and returned alive, always carrying meat or hide. At first, people hailed him as a gift from the gods. They sang songs of his strength. Mothers wished their sons would grow up to be like him, but pride is like fire in dry grass. Once it catches, it spreads quickly. Odwole stopped hunting for need. He began to hunt for show. Rare animals, forbidden beasts, those became his targets. One evening, when the sky was dyed with the blood of dusk, he returned to Agbónlé carrying something wrapped in palm leaves. When he opened it before the elders, gasps escaped their lips. A white tortoise, Yapo Olojuina, the sacred dream tortoise, said to belong to the spirits. The Araba, the spiritual leader, stepped forward in horror. "This is not for men," he said. "It walks between sleep and waking. To kill it is to tear the veil between worlds." Odewole only laughed. "The forest is mine," he boasted. "Even the gods cannot hide their pets from me." The villagers grew uneasy, but no one spoke further, not to the hunter who walked with charms around his neck and dried blood on his hands. Then came the day of the white antelope. No one had seen such a creature in generations. It was said to be the chosen form of Ososisi, the god of hunters. To see it was a sign of great fortune, but Odewole did more than see it. He killed it. The ground shook. The sky turned grey. That night, the hunter was visited in his sleep by an old woman cloaked in leaves and shadows. Her eyes burned like coal, and her voice echoed like distant thunder. "You have disrespected the sacred," she said. "You have mocked the balance. Go back to your spirits," he snarled in his dream. But she only smiled, her teeth black like charcoal. "Then let the spirits claim what is theirs." He woke up in sweat. From that day on, he was never seen again. Some believed he fled the village, haunted by curses. Others claimed they saw a brown goat wandering the forest edge, always watching, never eaten by wild beasts. The elders said Odewole did not run. He was reborn, as those he wronged. First a tortoise, then a bushfowl, then a lizard, now a goat. Each time a punishment, each time a memory. But the curse was not endless. There was one path to freedom: to remember, to feel the weight of his crimes, to seek forgiveness, and perhaps, if mercy found him before the God's wrath did, to be released. The day of Odunatari Ajanaku dawned with the pounding of drums and the scent of burning herbs wafting through the air. The entire village of Agbónlé had gathered, dressed in their finest. Women adorned in coral beads, men in agbada, and children with streaks of white chalk across their cheeks. At the center of the square stood the altar, carved from ancient stone, draped in red and white cloth, and surrounded by calabashes filled with palm oil, kola nuts, and dried leaves. The first sacrifice of the day was to set the tone, to please the gods, to cleanse the land. And for this, the Bale had chosen Ajala. Tied loosely beside the altar, the goat stood, silent and still. But Kuala couldn't stay silent any longer. He pushed through the crowd, heart pounding, tears threatening his young eyes. "Ejo wo," he cried. "Don't do it. That goat is not just an animal. He remembers. His name is Odewole. He was cursed." Laughter rippled through the crowd at first. Some chuckled nervously, others shook their heads. This boy is dreaming too much, they muttered. But Baba Alaro stood behind his son, eyes fixed on the ballet. It is true, he said solemnly. The Ifa revealed it. This is not ordinary flesh. But Bale Akinrin, tall, stern, with the leopard skin belt around his agbada, raised his hand. You want us to abandon the ritual because of a boy's fantasy? A tale of reincarnated hunters and goat spirits? He scoffed. Baba Alaro stepped forward. It is not a fantasy. The signs are too many. You saw how the goat refused to eat, how it avoids the shrine, how it watches us like it knows us. The Bale frowned, then waved his hand. We do not delay the gods. The offering begins now. Two men stepped forward, blades sheathed at their waists, but just as they reached for the rope, thunder cracked across the sky. Not a single cloud had gathered all morning, yet the heavens suddenly roared. A wind, fierce and whirling, spiraled through the village square, toppling calabashes and sending dust into the air. And in that moment, Ajala broke free. The rope snapped like it was never tied. Gasps filled the air as the goat darted through the crowd, leaping over baskets, pushing past dancers and disappearing into the forest path. The men chased. Kola ran faster. Behind him, the Bale shouted for hunters to retrieve the goat, but Baba Alaro didn't move. He only whispered, "The forest will judge now. We are no longer in charge." And deep within the shadows of Bo Kaere, where no man enters without permission, Kole followed the goat that carried the memory of a man's sins and the weight of redemption. The forest swallowed him whole. Branches reached out like arms, leaves whispered secrets, and every step deeper into Igbo Okere felt like walking into another world. Kola ran until his chest burned, but he never stopped. Not even when his slippers tore, not even when thorns scratched his legs. Ahead, the goat, Ajala, moved with strange purpose. Not like an animal fleeing, but like one returning home. And then it stopped. At the foot of a towering Morocco tree, older than the village itself, Ajala knelt. Not lay, not collapsed, knelt. Kola stood still, breathless, as the wind died and silence filled the forest. And then a voice, not from above or below, but from everywhere and nowhere, spoke. "You have come," it said. The air shimmered, and from the back of the tree, light spiraled outward like smoke. A figure stepped forth, half man, half spirit, robed in leaves, crowned with antlers, eyes glowing green. Kola fell to his knees. His lips trembled. "Oso, Osi." The forest spirit nodded gently. The boy who listens, the goat who remembers, and the man who hunted sacred blood, all gathered beneath the same sky. Kola could not speak. The spirit turned to Ajala. The goat trembled. Tears ran down his face, real tears as it bowed its head. The spirit spoke again. "O Dewole, do you know why you weep?" And the goat, though it made no sound, seemed to nod. "You hunted for pride. You mocked the sacred. You walked paths meant only for spirits. And yet, you have remembered." Then the spirit turned to Kola. "Child of mercy, would you forgive the one who caused your land to suffer? Who brought shame to your ancestors?" Kola looked at the goat, into its eyes, and somehow he saw the guilt, the sorrow, the burden that no animal should carry. He stood. "I am only a boy," he said, "but I know that even a broken calabash still holds water if you hold it carefully." The spirit nodded. "Then let it be done." A light brighter than any sun burst from the base of the tree, surrounding Ajala. The goat shook, its body rising into the air. And for the briefest moment, the villagers would never believe it. Nagaijonon, the goat became a man, old, tired, robes torn, but with eyes full of peace. He looked at Koala. "My child," he said, "thank you. You have done what even kings could not." Then, like a flame blown out, he vanished into golden dust. The forest was still again. Kola stood under the Iroko tree, alone now, but filled with a peace he had never known. And as he turned to walk home, the leaves behind him whispered his new name, Omo Anireti, the child of hope. The sun had nearly set by the time Kotla returned to Agbónlé. His feet were covered in dust, his shirt torn, but his eyes glowed with a quiet strength. Villagers gathered around him as he walked into the square, murmuring and staring. He said nothing, only looked to his father. Baba Alaro stepped forward, searching his son's face. Then Kola whispered, "He's free now." That evening, under the wide sky of gathering stars, Baba Alaro told the story. He spoke of Odewole, the hunter who hunted too far. He spoke of the curse, the signs, and the spirit that judged him. He spoke of Kola's journey, of the choice to forgive, and of a goat that once knelt under an ancient tree and became a man once more. Some wept, some remained silent, but no one laughed. Even the ballet, proud as he was, could not deny what had happened. That night, he called for a different animal for the festival, one that had not carried the weight of a man's soul. The rituals continued. The gods were honored. But something had shifted. A week later, on the very spot where Ajala had vanished beneath the Iroko tree, the villagers planted a small sapling. "It will grow in his place," Kola said, "not to honor the sins, but the redemption." And it did grow. No one dared cut it. Even children, usually wild and careless, played around it gently, as if the wind around it was always listening. As for Kola, he became known across villages, not for strength or wealth or age, but for something deeper, for the art that forgave what others feared, for the spirit that listened to the voice of a goat and heard the cry of a man. And so the elders would say to every child who asked, "In the forests of Yoruba land, even a goat may carry the soul of a man, and sometimes the smallest heart carries the biggest mercy."